Hi everyone. I wanted to make a compilation video of all of the Better Than podcasts over the last year. You might know we started our first podcast released on January 1st, 2020. And it was a wonderful way to kick off this new endeavor. I had contacted Bootsy Greenwood and said, hey, I want to start a podcast. What can you tell me that'll make it easier for me to get started? And he gave me all of these great tools, but he also said, hey, why don't I just come on and I can be your first guest? And I was like, it was amazing. And since then, I've had so many amazing interviews. I've sampled a few of them and put them in here. I just wanted to kind of revisit and see, what were the main takeaways for the year from the podcast. So I put a few of them in here. If you guys are just listening, you won't see a switch between each soundbite from each interview. However, if you're watching, you'll be able to see which episode each conversation or each soundbite is from. If you're just listening, it's going to sound like just a mishmash, but I hope you guys enjoy this part of it. It was really fun to put it back together. And I just for the interest of time, there are certain ones that I didn't keep, but that's because, or that I didn't include, but that's because I would like to get those folks back on the podcast soon. And then we'll do more of like a feature revisit of those episodes for those guests that are going to be coming back on. But so just enjoy these little tidbits real quick with me, because I'm having a good time putting this together.
Right on.
Now I'm mumbling and rambling. I sound nervous. I don't know. What's going on?
I'm going to jump in right here and just say that I get much better at making sound bites. Thank you very much.
But the door was latched shut, and I swear I saw a silhouette of a man up there. Just the profile. And then it's like he bent down really fast. And I hit the floor. I was so scared.
You are listening to Better Than Podcast. This is the place where we explore all different philosophies, technologies, social structures, spiritual practices, and so much more.
So if you're just listening, I'm busting in here again. If you're just listening, this is the episode Apocalypse Hodgepodge. So I just had a quick conversation with my good friend and coworker, Erica Van Pelt, and we were telling each other ghost stories, and I was like, oh, let's record this. That would be fun. And then the shit hit the fan before I put that episode up, like lockdowns, it's COVID, like this is March. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? So I thought that like maybe I should probably say something about this. I feel like I want to say something about this, so I did. So that episode, the first half was ghost stories, and the second half was like, holy shit, is the world ending? What's happening? So there's a little insight into that. Now let's continue.
Yeah.
I'm honored, but I don't really want to come back, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to make a soul pact with you. I want to see what's after this.
yeah. Let me get some options, some clarity on the situation first, because, if I could just like melt into colors or something, I might choose that.
Welcome to Better Than Podcast.
Okay, I picked this one with Bootsy again because there's interviews in between for sure, but this was like the start of me having like way less like insecurities about, like, I'm not a journalist, I don't do public speaking, I don't know what I'm doing, but like after this interview, during this interview, I just like relaxed. And I feel like all the interviews after this, I enjoyed. Not that I didn't enjoy the ones before, but I was so much more comfortable after this particular episode. And then you'll see there's kind of a theme throughout the year that begins to develop. Like, we'll talk about that more at the end. I don't know. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to let you enjoy these clips, and then I'll see you here back in a minute.
A lot of it is alcoholism. That's a pretty big problem around here. And I look at these people and I think, man, they might think that like they're as low as they can get, but when they can't get alcohol anymore, it's going to get a lot worse. And then it's going to get better. Hopefully it can get better for them.
It's just simple math. Just look at the equation. If you have a goal and you have something you're aiming for, but then you look at your daily habits and actions, and they either are totally out of alignment with that goal, or you're just not taking any steps to move towards it, you're not going to get there.
I think the real change comes from the people on the fringes of society, like you and I, or Derek Bros, that are shaking things up, that are thinking outside the box. And it's those people, which is a very small number of people, that actually change the course of history. And if our ideas are popular enough and they produce enough value and goodness and happiness, especially, then maybe the NPCs of the world will kind of shift over and start doing things with our popular systems.
I am still trying to have the perspective that this is working ultimately in humanity's favor, because it is highlighting the fact that we can automate things, that we can do things without polluting our planet as much as we do. Like, there are alternatives to the way we live. And this has highlighted the crap out of that. And I love it. I hate to sound so excited, but
I think that the only way for us to truly come to grips in terms of being on equal footing is there would have to be a complete overhaul of everything. I mean, I'm talking about the way schools are run, the way history is taught, just the simple belief of who heroes in the United States are. You know what I mean? I mean, everything. I'm talking
feeling kind of guilty about not having any sort of meditation practice, because like I've been actively avoiding meditating like my entire life, because the one time I and I might have told you this, but for the listeners' benefit, that I did meditate intentionally. I like came out of my body and like connected by a tether and like was looking down at my body. And so, and then, you know, like I got scared that I was going to float out the window. So like the second that I tensed up or felt fear, I slammed back down into my body. And then I've just never tried to meditate.
This is something that we're breaking, a paradigm we're breaking through. It comes back to the whole time thing of just like, you have to turn it on when it shows up on your schedule instead of honoring your own emotional and energetic ebbs and flows. So it's truly a more like honed in and natural way to live your life. And it reminds me, are you familiar with the chakra system in yoga?
I am very little, but I would never want to speak like I knew what I was talking about at all, at all.
Well, there's this concept that, you know, there's the manifestation current that is kind of this downward current from the crown of our head where we receive these beautiful ideas, and then it works its way through each chakra before it becomes physical form, before it's manifested. And then there's an upward current where you're rooted and grounded in the earth, and then it works its way back up through the chakras until it reaches the crown chakra and it's liberated.
Okay, so that's just a small sampling, really. We had many more guests. But one thing that I started doing back in March, basically so that I didn't lose my mind, is doing solo casts. And I just decided to clump those all together. So it's just going to be like one long stream of me sounding crazy talking to myself. And at some point, I changed the name of the solocasts from Social Distancing Soliloquies to Voice in the Ether because my kids are banging. It's okay, we don't mind. To Voice in the Ether because I was so tired, and I was just so tired of all of the pandemic protocols. And I'm just sitting here talking to myself, you guys. I'm talking to myself, and for some reason, you guys like to listen to me, and I am super thankful for that. But my voice is just going out into the ether, and then you guys are tapping into it, and it's freaking amazing. So here's a few of my solo rants, and then we're going to wrap this up. So enjoy this part, guys. Thanks.
So we'll see what happens with that, but I know that I have plenty to keep myself occupied, because building the new world is going to be a time-consuming thing, and thank goodness we've been given the opportunity to concentrate on and pay attention to building the new world instead of having to run our rat races that we have been obligated to run, that really only keeps us distracted. Is controlled by a small clique of people. And that's really what we have right now. So let's put aside our ideas about founding fathers and their principles, and let's put aside ideas about what our country is based on, and let's actually look at what it is, not what we think it should be or but I had to really unpack like feelings about loss of income. Because we have a lot of programming about what our worth is, and we have a lot of programming that tells us that if we aren't making dollars, that we're not contributing, or that we're not valuable. But let's remember, we're all God. We can manifest this reality any way we see fit, so you better fucking check with your neighbors to see what kind of reality they're manifesting. And if all of us can do that, then maybe we can agree on what we want to bring in. I'm just saying. So, all right, that's it. And hopefully we can bombard them with this message so that they can't help but let it trickle into their framing when they do their news broadcasts. That's huge, guys. That's really huge. So like I said, my content or any other creator's content that you think is going to help open somebody's eyes, share this message. It's so important. Also share content that you think will help people understand this message. You have to really know your audience, but this message comes from so many sources. Today is the day that we as a people have decided that we are together. We're together. Black, white, brown, Asian, Native, Indigenous. Nothing is worth us turning against each other. Nothing is worth the consequences of denying human value and human potential and human worth. That it doesn't matter how small time or big time a politician is, there is no path for that politician to help you. Even if they are virtuous, even if their heart is in the right place, there is no path for these politicians to help you. And it's because the system is set up in such a way to encourage personal gain and wealth. Potential is the promise of growth. So I can look at myself in the moment right now and say, oh, holy shit, Lindsay, you're not perfect. You don't got everything all figured out. What are you doing? Where are you going to go? I could I could sit and wallow in that feeling. But with potential, you're not really given that choice. Understanding that everything is really just the fulfillment of potential, you're not really given the choice to just give up on yourself, are you? Because we know that we all have a certain amount of potential to fulfill. And we all know when we are working toward that and when we're not, right? Because it doesn't feel good. When you're not working toward fulfilling your potential, it doesn't feel good. And that's when it's really easy to sensation of, of hot pepper on your tongue. And these things, we know that they're all determined through us by our, DNA and genetic coding and wiring, and how all of our sense organs transmit information to our brain, and then how our brain interprets it. And then that's as far as we get, right? Because, the brain interprets it, and then it's orange or it's spicy. But who does it interpret it to, right? Like, it gets all, from the tip of your tongue, that spicy hot pepper, gets from the tip of your tongue all the way up to your brain instantly, or, some peppers have a slow burn, but, relatively instantly. And then, it is interpreted as spicy. Like, you guys, what does it look like to try to strengthen your connection with Source to, have the most pure intentions possible? It looks like madness, you guys. That's what it looks like. It looks like getting real weird with yourselves, like real weird, and just accepting it. Just accepting that I'm a weirdo, and because of my weirdness, I might have something that I can offer the world. Lastly, I think that we need to take a minute to celebrate the old world. Not to, there's a lot of talk going on right now about spiritual bypassing. I don't want to spiritually bypass the loss of the old world, because it has passed and we do need to grieve for it. But I think that what would be instructive, or what would be helpful, is for us to have a celebration of life for the old world and thank it for the tools and the knowledge that it's given us. Because
all right, so yeah, that's Better Than podcast in a year. Year 1 on the books, getting ready to start year 2. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I try to end every episode with I love you all so much, because I really do. But seeing as how this is the start of a new year, I'm going to leave us with a love song. This is my favorite love song, and I'm sending it out to all you guys. You got a face with a view.
Let's go. Roll 'em.